Hi, I'm Billy. And welcome to Jack of Traits. In this video, we will learn how to implement Alpine JS in your Laravel application. Alpine JS is a minimal JavaScript framework that is used for making web applications reactive. Although it is not a total replacement for React or Vue, it is still the right choice if you want to sprinkle a little bit of JavaScript into your web app. It works well with other JavaScript libraries such as jQuery. Note that Alpine JS will work the same way whether you are working on a Laravel project or a simple HTML website. So what you will learn here will still be useful to you even if you do not use the Laravel framework. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Just like Vue and React, Alpine JS uses the component-based concept in which every component has its own state variables. With Alpine JS, you only need to declare the xData directive to the parent component you want to use Alpine JS. In our case, we want to make everything inside our div to be reactive. So we need to add the xData directive like so. And inside it, we will declare a variable called showText and declare it as Boolean. Now, we have successfully transformed our entire HTML as an Alpine JS component. To understand the basic usage of Alpine JS, we will add a simple example so that you can picture out how we do things using it. So the first thing that we wanted to do is add a to button. The first one will be used to set the value of the showText variable to true, and the second button will be used to set the value of the showText variable to false. We will also add two div elements just to show you a programmatical way of showing the specific text on a particular condition using Alpine JS. Of course, for now, these two texts will show since we haven't added a condition to it. There is another Alpine JS directive called xShow that receives a Boolean value by default. When it is true, the HTML element will show, and if it is false, then the HTML element will be hidden. We will make the first div appear when the showText value is true and the second div hidden. And we will make the second div element appear when the showText value is false. Putting an exclamation mark to check if it is false is just the same as comparing the variable like this. The next thing that we wanted to do is add a click event to the button. So there is magic happening here. Everything inside the add click is just as good as a JavaScript code. You can put any JavaScript code inside the two quotes just like you usually do when writing a JavaScript. So we will assign the showText variable to true on the show button and false to the hide button. So, when we test our code, it works just like the way we want it to. That's just how easy it is to work with Alpine JS. To further emphasize the power of Alpine JS, let's go ahead and add one more variable to our component called random variable and set a random text to it. There is another directive in Alpine JS called xText. You just pass in a state variable to it, and it will display the text inside the HTML element. And we will change its value when the show button is clicked, and we will also do the same with the hide button. So seeing this implementation, you might already understand how simple it is to work with Alpine JS. We can also add a native JavaScript code inside, and it will still work. Let's test it out. That looks awesome. We can also programmatically change the value of the class attribute like this. It still works the same. Just remember that you need to put a colon symbol before the attribute name. You have to put in mind that with Alpine JS directives, you can put any JavaScript code inside it. The best recommended practice is to put all your state variables on the same file when working at Alpine JS. When you go to the documentation, you can actually see a few more directives that you can use with Alpine. But for this tutorial, we will just use the most common directives that we will use for the navigation in the mobile view. Now that we already learned the basics, we will start applying Alpine JS to our mobile view navigation. Let's add a variable called show and set it to false. Now let's create a simple toggle functionality to the button. So the way we do this is the same as we did earlier. Let's add a temporary text that will serve as an indicator of our value. Don't worry, and we're going to delete this text later. This is just to show you that the code is working. We can actually do something like this as a shortcut. Now, I'm going to show you the more extended version for that. As you can see, it works pretty much the same as we did earlier. Now, it's time to control the visibility of our mobile navigation. Our approach is, we just have to add the class block when the show variable is true and hidden when the show variable is false. It's just as simple as that. Right now, we also need to change the SVG hamburger icon to a close icon when we click it and vice versa. I'm going to paste in another SVG for the close icon. Don't worry, I will paste the SVG in the comments below, so just copy and paste them into your project. Let's comment the close icon first and see what's going on. So, when the show variable is set to false, we will make the hamburger icon appear. And when the show variable is set to true, we will make the close icon appear. So let's just do that. Let's test our code. That is perfect. I really love how simple Alpine JS is when it comes to implementing kinds of stuff like these. As you can see, we were able to add a simple JavaScript feature using Alpine JS. And it is easy to implement once you know how it works. There will be times that you may encounter some situations that you will need a little bit of JavaScript as a side dish. In my opinion, Alpine JS is the best candidate to do the reactive stuff for you. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, comment, share, and subscribe if you're new to this channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you'll get notified whenever a new video is up. Stay tuned, and see you in the next video.